Week of March 30th through April 5th. If you're new to this channel, we talk about astrology here. We are talking about tools and training and practices for you to really achieve what it is you came to achieve as a soul in this planet. My name is Maril. I'm a coach and astrologer. I've done charts for 35 years, and I'm also a coach. I've been doing coaching for a very long time as well. And my goal is to help you understand how you can harness the energies of the moment and also your own personal birth chart energy so that you can really come and do what it is that your soul decided to come and do without any of the conditioning and really just live your best life. Okay, so let's get to it for this week. This week of March 30th, we have a full moon. Before we talk about the full moon, we're going to talk about today. Today, Venus steps into Taurus. Taurus is one of the signs that Venus actually rules. If you are familiar with astrology, you know that all of the planets rule a particular sign. In the case of Venus, Venus rules Taurus and it also rules Libra. Interestingly enough, Venus today stepped out of Aries and stepped into Taurus, and then the full moon that we have this Wednesday is actually in the sign of Libra, the other sign that it loves. So there's a lot of Venusian energy this week. Venusian energy is the energy of relationship, of love, of worth. Okay. Venus expressed in Taurus is the energy of how will I love myself through physical material things? Let's look at what that is. Venus, which is where you see how you like to be loved, how you express love, the planet of love and relating, in the sign of Taurus is asking you, in this physical energy that is the Tauran energy, which is the Taurian, most physical, most earthy signs of all the signs of the zodiac, it's asking you, hey, are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating as much as you're supposed to eat? A super interesting thing that I find at this moment in general in the wellness world is that, maybe back in the 90s, it was like, listen, cut the fat out. Maybe in the 2000s, it was like, you got to diet. There's so much talk about, in 2010s, it was like intermittent fasting, this and that. Now it's like, listen, you want to lose weight, you're holding on to fat, your body's probably thinking that you're starving yourself. It's probably because you're not eating enough food. This is very Venus in Taurus energy, very Venus in Taurus energy. So, what it's asking you to do, the energy of Venus in Taurus, we're just going to stay for about 25 days, 26 days until maybe about the 25th, 26th of April. So you have a good maybe 4 weeks or so to step into this is what is it that I truly need to give myself, my physical body? How can I show up for my physical body? How can I show up for the material things in my life, including my finances, in a way that is loving? How do I love myself through my physical body and my finances, my stuff that makes me feel worth, self-worth, that I am valuing myself? What does it take? Maybe it's going to sleep earlier. Maybe it's sleeping in. Maybe it's eating, 3 meals a day with some snacks in between and stopping starving yourself to try to lose weight. Maybe it's moving your body. Maybe it's getting in nature and really moving your body in nature in the way that it was intended and out of a gym, where movements are maybe a little more artificial or forced or things like that. Okay. Maybe it's lifting heavier weights. You need to figure out what it is that your body is asking this week and for the next 4 weeks to give it so that you feel loved. Okay, that is the energy of Venus and Taurus that we're stepping into today. Okay, it'll come to a peak on Friday, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But next, I want to talk about Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday is the full moon in Libra. If you know astrology, you know that the full moon happens, and this is, lunar stuff too, just basically basic moon stuff. Your full moon happens when the sun is in one sign and the moon is in its opposite sign. So in this case, we've got sun in Aries and we've got the moon in Libra. Okay, so this is a full moon in Libra, full moon, lunation. Libra is a sign of relationships. It's a sign of partnerships. It's a sign of commitment to other people. So you've got Aries, the energy of the self, okay, and how you relate to yourself. And then you've got Libra, how do I relate to other people? What is it that I'm willing to commit to in terms of other people, partnerships, be it love or work? Okay. So you've got this energy, but what do we have also along that is supporting this? Okay. You have Saturn right next to about 7 degrees difference. So still a conjunction, still working together, still affecting each other, right next to the sun in the energy of Aries. So if you saw my previous videos, you know that we have just stepped into Aries season on the 20th of March with the equinox, and there is a ton of energy in the sign of Aries at the moment. You've got Neptune that stepped into Aries in January. You've got Saturn that just stepped into Aries as well, and you had them together with the conjunction, and now you've got, the sun also in Aries, and there's all this Aries energy. So the sun is supported. The sun is super supported. There's a lot of fire, action, action potential. You're going to be like action Jackson, doing all the things that you need to be doing in your life. There's so much energy available for you to meet your goals. There's so much energy available for you to do the things that you truly, truly in your heart want to do. The taking the fantasy and the dream and bringing it into a goal, plan, and reality and steps. Okay. All that energy is available to you right now, right now. Saturn, being right next to the sun in Aries, is saying, hey, in order to do the things that you really want to do, we're going to need to leave some things out. In order to leave some things out, we're going to need to set boundaries and learn to say no. If you are not in the practice of frequently saying no and setting boundaries, you're going to feel very uncomfortable. And maybe you've already started to feel it. Okay. So this weekend, I had some situations, both in with people that I didn't know at all, and also people that are very close to me, where I had to set boundaries and I had to say no to some things. It's very interesting because old me, as a fire dragon in Chinese astrology, as an Aquarian that jumps when something is unfair and needs to, make it really fair. And as someone who was, is a highly sensitive person, is an empath, was a very shy kid. In my 20s and 30s, I thought that the only way to really get things the way that I thought they needed to be was through my temper, or, really standing up in a way that was maybe a little too strong. And it was the only way that I knew how, because having come from sensitivity and being a child that was timid, shy, and picking up everybody's energies as an empath, as a sensitive person, if you know what it's like to be an HSP, you understand what I'm talking about. The only barrier I could find, or the only way that I could find to not be taken advantage of or feel things that I was like, this is not the right energy, was to be very, very strong about it. Now, in my almost next year, I'll be 50. And having been trained in so many things, because I sought this out as to how to really protect my energy, how to assert my energy in a way, as a former journalist, a communicator, I was always, wanting to learn more about how to communicate in a way that is the healthiest, the best way in relationships, in work, in collaborations, and learning that had to do a ton with what we know nowadays is your nervous system regulation, your subconscious reprogramming, blah blah blah. All this stuff. I'm a trained yogi, myofascial release, all these different things. Okay. And having trained other people in this, because as a coach, I coach people on this stuff as well, because you cannot achieve your goals. And coaching is helping you take you from point A, where you are right now, to point B, where you want to be, to achieve the goals and the dreams. We cannot get you there if you're going to be out of control emotionally, right? So I had to learn how to do this myself. And I coach my people, my clients, my coachees on this as well. And this is what I think this lunation is asking of all of us. Okay. The Aries energy, which is very fiery, it can be assertive, but it can also be aggressive, has right now, right next to it, right next to the sun, the constraint of Saturn. And Saturn is saying, listen, you get to set boundaries, because Saturn is a boundary setter. Saturn is like, this is the limit and this is as far as we go, and that's it. And you get to learn how to do that this year. You have an opportunity to do that this whole year. But right now, there's so much energy for put that into action, for being expressive with that. And the only thing you need is the tip that I'm going to give you right now, which is something I had to learn to do. And there's so much that goes into how to do it, but it's basically this. When you set a boundary, when you say no, when you communicate a limit, do it first without an emotional charge. And by first, I mean the first time that you are going to be coming up with this boundary and saying no and all this stuff is going to be in your mind. It's going to be to yourself. It's going to be saying, listen, shouldn't have gone this, shouldn't have done that. I don't want to be in this situation anymore. This is the boundary I get to set. Okay, that's going to happen with you first. And in that conversation, you need to also be like, okay, when I go and set this boundary and communicate this boundary or communicate this no to the other person, I get to do it without an emotional charge. I get to do it without the frustration, the anger, the rage, right? That so many women feel in so many situations that we've had to encounter, not only in this country, in the United States, but also in general as women, right? So much coming out of things that women have to face that are very, very difficult, and where our sacred rage and somehow feels justified and has a place. What I'm asking you to do is not to repress your feelings. You process your feelings at the time that you have them. Absolutely must. And when you go to communicate the boundary, you don't bring the charge with you. It'll be the most effective way for you to be in guilt-free and kind boundary. Okay? Because I want you to be, after you leave the scenario of the exchange of having communicated the boundary or saying no, I want you to feel good about it. And most people don't set boundaries because they don't feel good about it afterwards. They feel guilty, they feel bad because they screamed at somebody or they had to set a boundary in an aggressive way. And sometimes we have to do that. But I'm telling you, if you can master the process of talking to yourself and processing your own emotions and understanding how you work in all this, in all these realms, in all these different nuances, your emotions, your beliefs, all these different things, the things you went through in the past, maybe some small t trauma, things like that. If you can understand yourself so well, which is what astrology also helps you do, you see wounds in there, you can see strengths, you can see weaknesses. When you do your chart, you see all of this. If you can understand all of that and be the master and commander of how you want to handle all of that in your interactions, you're in a place that is way beyond most people in general. Okay? And your boundary, your communication of this will be just as strong, probably even stronger, because nobody else is going to have anything else to say. Oh, yeah, because she's just like a, total biatch, and she rages and she just look what she did to me, and she said to me so mean. I had to set a boundary with a stranger this past weekend at a grocery store for a way that they spoke to someone that I love very much is my mom. Okay. My mom, she's in her 70s, doing her thing or whatever. I can understand how things might have been a little disconcerting for this person. It was a cashier. But the way that he spoke to my mother was not ideal. It was reprimanding, had a tone. And I'm almost 50 years old. I know how to handle things, and I know when it needs to be handled and when it doesn't. This is a store I frequent all the time, right? It's a Whole Foods. And so I went to the car, and I'm giving you an example so that you can understand how to put this into play, okay? I went to the car, I dropped off all the groceries. At that moment, I cooled my dislike, whatever emotion I had over what had just transpired. Put my mom in the car, and I said, Mom, here are the keys. I'll be right back. She was fine. She's doing her thing. She's an Aries, so she's like all over the place right now. And I went back into the store, and this cashier was in front of all the other cashiers. I don't know, it was a slow moment, so there was a bunch of people there that were from this team. And I said, "Listen, you don't talk to my mom like that, not again." And it's not comfortable for me to do. Okay, it's as an Aquarian, we're like, tip your hat, gotta go by. I will never speak to you again, or I don't go to your store. I don't, vote with my wallet in your establishment, and I'm gonna say no to that. But I knew that this was the right thing to do. Okay. And as a Hispanic Latina, we are very close with our family. We take care of our own. Family is something that we honor and cherish. And, your parents get to be respected. So I was not going to stand for any disrespect in front of me to my family member. And so I went and I said my piece, and I said my piece in front of everybody. And I said, Don't talk to my mom that way. She's 77 years old. No, and the person immediately was like, well, I need to say that this and that. And I said, that's fine. You can give information, but you don't get to reprimand. You don't get to have tone. You could have said it in a different way, and don't do it again. And he said, okay. And I said, okay, thank you. And I left. And this is what we get to do. And this is what we get to do with the energy we have right now. Taurus, Saturn in this lunation, its participation in this lunation is saying, set your boundaries. Set your boundaries, and hopefully, what I'm saying is learn to do them without anything that's going to make you feel bad later, which is without the emotional charge. Okay, that's one way to do it, guilt-free, with kindness and stuff, and you really get to be in control of yourself for that. So that's what's happening. What else is happening in this lunation, this full moon? For your relationships, there's going to be so much of there are people in my life that were in my life last week that are not in my life this week anymore. And the same is going to be happening for the following week. And this is the big week for that. Okay. Saturn is actually making sextile to Uranus and a sextile to Pluto. Okay. These are collaborative relationships. So the planet Uranus, the planet of before and after change, and Pluto, the planet of inside out transformation, are helping and are being helped by this Saturn limits, boundaries, knowing when to say no, knowing what it is that is a yes or a no for you. It's all working together. For what? To make space, okay? To make space for the new version of you that is going to be more authentic and bring you into the job, the relationship, the friendships, the environment, the home, the people, and everything that is really meant for you to be supportive of who you truly are as a person, who you came to be here as a soul. Okay? This is Pluto and Aquarius energy. Saturn and Neptune have stepped out of Pisces and they're in Aries, and out of Pisces means out of self-sacrifice, no more self-sacrificing ourselves, no more doormat, no more codependency, no more dogmatic religious energy that may be misinterpreted to mean, hey, you have to really just throw yourself to the wolf in order to feel like you are loving other people. None of that is in play anymore. Not through Pluto, not through Uranus. Well, Uranus is shifting into Gemini on the 25th of April. And so it'll be the last, as you saw in the last video, it'll be the last of the shifts from earth and water signs into fire and air signs. And we're going to be in this dynamic that is like, listen, we are just moving forward. We're going to think it and we're going to do it. We're going to communicate it. We're going to be fast. We're going to be authentic. We're not going to be in guilt or shame or blaming or limiting ourselves because we feel like this is what we need to do in order for other people to survive and thrive. None of that is in play anymore. None of that. Okay. And so this Saturn with Uranus and Pluto in this transformation, this full moon is what's going to really, really be like marking that. If you feel like you have been setting boundaries and saying no, or if you feel like you've been hesitating on that or not doing it in the right way, this is the week where you get to practice all of that even more. Okay. If opportunity presents itself for that, go ahead and take it. Take the opportunity to say no. Take the opportunity to set a boundary. Take the opportunity to get to know yourself better, to honor yourself, to respect yourself by understanding that there are some things that just don't belong in your environment. Some people that just don't belong in your environment. Or some people that once you set the boundary or say no, they come back and they're like, listen, you're right. And I'm glad you said that to me. And I'm here for it. And you're like, wow, those are my people. Because they're growing with you. And as you help them grow, and this is another super really interesting situation here. As you help them grow, as you grow yourself, you're going to help them grow with you. Saturn, the sun in Aries and the moon in Libra both are making a square to Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is expansion. Okay. And sorry if I move my hands a lot, but this is what I get to do so that I can help you see these aspects. Jupiter is expansion, and in the sign of Cancer, it's expansion for growth. Okay. It's expansion for nourishment. It's expansion for you to really give yourself what it is that you need, very similar to Venus and Taurus energy, to give yourself what it is that you need, that nourishment, that food, that emotional containment for you to expand. Because we all know now, which we didn't know before, okay? We all know now, especially as women, we know that we need safety in order to grow. Before it was like, just do it. Why are you afraid? This and that. Now we understand there's big T, small t trauma. There's your nervous system is holding onto stuff and it's not going to let you move forward because it doesn't feel safe. So there's like you're living in a cortisol, you're in sympathetic all the time, and you need to get into parasympathetic in order to be well and in order to do your things. We know so much more now that we didn't before. And it's this Jupiter in Cancer that is asking these two different points in the full moon, the sun in Aries and the moon in Libra, through a square, through a challenge. It's issuing the challenge of saying, listen, you want to grow, you need to nourish. You want to grow, you need to contain. You want to grow and expand, you need to give me what it is that I need on an emotional level and on a physical level, Venus and Taurus, so that I can help you expand where you need to expand. Okay. And Uranus and Pluto are both going, yeah, we're on board because as you set these limits, we're going to burn the house down. We're going to get rid of everything. We're going to shift it here and we're going to burn it here. And it's going to be making space for the things that get to grow, like this beautiful plant over here. Okay. Yesterday, I was pruning my pittosporum. I used to think of myself as a black thumb because one time when I was going through a very difficult time in my life, my parents' divorce, I adopted a bonsai, which is a very difficult thing to take care of, a bonsai, as my first plant. And it died. It died smack in the middle of when my parents were getting divorced and we had to move, and it was all these difficult things in my life. And I was handling all that at the same time as I was in college and I was working and all these different things. And it was hard. And I created a limiting belief that said, you're just not, you don't have a green thumb. You're just not good with plants. Never got a plant again until a few years ago, where I said, that's a limiting belief that I get to get rid of now. I didn't even realize I had that there, but I want plants and I'm probably can get good with plants. All right. So I just studied, found all the information. I found the plant that was right for the climate that I'm in. As an Aquarian, we just dive deep into the learning. And so I have three plants that I've had for, I don't know if it's maybe 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. And they're just growing. These babies are growing. At one point, they were going to die too, but I was like, no, I'm going to make this happen. And these babies are just growing tall. They're pittosporum, they're silver sheen, they're kind of like bushes and they catch the light and they're just beautiful. And two of them are growing really, really, really tall, and one of them not as tall. And I looked at it and it was very dense. These other had space, a lot of space, and this one didn't. So yesterday I went in and I cut out all the dead wood. There was a lot of dead wood, like, little branches growing, but didn't have any foliage to them. And I said, this has to go. We got to make space for what we want to grow. This is what's happening with this lunation. Okay, this is what's happening with this configuration, with Saturn being helped by Uranus and flanked on both sides through a sextile, which is like, we're going to collaborate here. And this is Pluto is burning down anything that's inauthentic, and Uranus over here is making changes into anything else that needs to be shifted so that you have a new version of yourself that's more authentic. So set those limits, say the no's, have that conversation with yourself first, check yourself for an energetic charge, really work on your own energy, and move forward, be assertive, do your thing, because that's what is being called for in your relationships and with yourself as well, in order for you to expand and grow. That's what this lunation is about. Friday. Friday, we are stepping into the peak of the relationship that started maybe Saturday, so a couple days ago, between Venus and Pluto. There is a relationship there that is going to be a square that gets carried out for a little bit, but this week it's its peak. And the peak moment is this Friday. So what are we talking about here? Again, squares are challenges. The challenge is being issued. Boom. What are you going to do with this? Okay. And it's Venus in Taurus with Pluto in Aquarius. And this is like, all right, where we're talking again, Pluto in Aquarius is the authenticity factor. Where do we need to burn certain things in order for us to be transformed into the beautiful phoenix we come out that is really ourselves? Okay. Where is our value? How do I stop hiding the things that make me who I am in order to be truly valued in the physical world, money, physical relationships, things like that, uh, so that I can be truly happy and fulfilled? Which part of myself have I been hiding, and how do I get to really, really encourage myself through all this Aries energy, which is the energy of courage, that courage that the warrior has to go fight the fight that needs to be fought, not the fight that you have, that just because you're pissed or frustrated or you're upset or whatever, because you're not focusing your energy on the right things that you need to be focusing on, but the fight that needs to be fought, okay, which is the one that is like your cause. For example, me with my mom, that my family is my cause. You know, coming up here and sharing information with you, that's my cause. I'm sharing what I think is going to be useful for you to get the things in your life that you want in your life, okay, and to take full advantage of what the energy offers you at the moment, for you to activate what it is that you have inside, and we have everything inside of us in order for us to make our dreams come true so that you can get your stuff done. Okay. What's your cause? Is it you? Is it your family? Is it your finances? What's happening right now? Is it a relationship? Is it a global movement? What is it? Whatever it is, you're going to have the energy to fight for it. Okay. That's the Aries energy. And that's also what this Venus and Taurus square to Pluto in Aquarius is actually looking for you to discern. What are the things that are worth me, really diving into in the physical world, putting my money where my mouth is, all this stuff, so that I can really truly be myself and come out as the person that I really am, including the causes that are authentic and true to me, that I'm willing to fight for, because I think there's unfairness happening in A, B, and C realm. Okay, that kind of stuff. You get to have this energy until Monday. Okay. This sort of the tussle between relationships that are going to be transforming, your ability to set boundaries, that's going to continue. But this Venus and Pluto stuff is really through more or less Monday. So let your relationships transform. Let yourself show up authentically. And that means not hiding any part of yourself. I'll share something with you. I've worked in corporate environments, I've had multiple businesses. I've coached people who are both millionaires and people who are like in underdeveloped countries. And I've seen a lot in the world. And the way that I was stepping in the world and sharing what it is that I do and who I am was limited. This is part of why I've come back to do this channel. I think I saw a comment on one of the videos in this channel when I first started doing this in English. I was like, she's so good at this. Why doesn't she have any more, more followers? And I was like, well, I started doing this in Spanish. I'm Hispanic, I'm Peruvian, and I started doing the astrology videos in Spanish, and there I have like hundreds of thousands of views and things like that. But I'm coming in here with the English channel. I'm coming in here full throttle and not stopping, because I see so much information out there that, having done charts for 35 years, okay, being someone as an empath, an HSP, a person who understands levels of consciousness, who understands cause and effect, who is on a mission here to do something positive with the world, I see so much misinformation. When it comes to astrology, a ton. I've tested ChatGPT extensively. I've seen so many mistakes. I see people on social media. There's a lot of information that is misleading when it comes to this. Astrology is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful art, but it requires interpretation. And when you look at the filters that the information is being interpreted through, sometimes those filters are full of fear, full of anger, full of, just ignorance. And the stuff that needs to come through is not coming through. That is going to help you get to where you need to get. And this information is valuable. It's self-knowledge. It's energy available to me right now so that I can move on the things that matter and not move on the things that matter. As a coach, that's so, so crucial. You have a limited amount of energy that you count with on every single day, that you get to pour into the things that matter to you. From a coaching perspective, knowing how to work with the energy is the esoteric advantage. It's the esoteric edge. And if you understand astrology and other esoteric tools, but this is a beautiful tool for self-knowledge and for your business and for relationships and for health and so many different things, wounds and traumas and all this stuff. There's so much in the chart that you can work with, and so much with the transits that you can take and apply to your chart and really help shift things from the inside. If you can do that from a coaching perspective, you're going to be able to move forward in a much more with more ease. In other words, focus your energy where you need to focus it on, and not focus and not waste time on things that you don't need to waste time on. And you're also going to be doing it faster. Okay. So if you're here, I'm going to be doing a lot more of these videos, probably put more stuff about self-knowledge as well. So not just transits and forecasts, but I really want you to really understand who you are. I think in my Spanish channel, I have videos on just like if your moon is in Cancer, like all the moons, all of this. And I'm going to be doing a lot more of that here as well. I don't think I've done that here before. There are very few videos here, but every week I will be posting something for you. That's my goal. Okay. Probably more. You also know that if you want your chart read, if you want to apply all this stuff to your own chart, you can reach out to me. Maril@marilsalispaz.com is my email. You can reach out and do a chart. I think I have some links down there for booking a session with me and looking at what this energy is really, really, really what is here for you to accomplish, how it's here for you to grow, how it's here for you to do business, how it's here for you to relate to other people. It's fascinating to see whenever I do sessions, when I've read charts, and again, I've read these for over 3 decades, and to see the patterns and to see the people really understand what is going to bring them confidence, what is a confirmation, and what is actually conditioning that gets to be pulled out and discarded. And this is what this lunation is also about. Okay. So reach out to me if you want to do a session and take full advantage of this week's full moon. Full moons are portals. There are intense moments of energy that is available to you, even more so than the regular transits are, because the moon is so close to us and we feel it so strongly. And in order to make changes, in order to be in action, in order to harness our energy and to put it into motion, our emotions get to be connected and get to be a participant in it. Okay. This is why everyone's like, okay, but the full moon, and we all already know that full moons and new moons, they affect our microbiome. We're so connected to so much of the energy because we are 75% water, 76% water as human beings, right? And so we get to understand these relationships and the energy that's available to us during these portals and other times, and how that relates to our own configuration, which is your natal chart, and how I can take that, how you can take that, and just really move forward in the best way, whatever is your path, which is very unique and it's not like everybody else's path. And if you ever felt like you're trying really hard to do things, but they're not working out. If you've ever felt like, you're procrastinating on stuff because you really know that the way that you've been told to do things is not the way that you would want to do them, or it doesn't really work for you. If you tried and it hasn't worked, if you feel like you're stuck in perfectionism, all this other stuff, it may be because you don't understand what is the best way for you to really get the stuff that you want to get done, or get the stuff that you want to manifest. I don't love the word manifest because, again, it's something else that is also very misunderstood out there. But really take your dreams, make them into goals, take that, make them to a plan, take that, put them into steps, and take a step every single day. This is what we do as a coach in order for you to really live the life that is meant for you to have the career, the business, the relationships, the health, and everything that are really meant for you, that your soul is saying, yes, this is the way, without any other trauma, the conditioning, and all the other stuff. If I had it, it would be like this. And to be able to share that with you, I think is a delight for me, and it would be putting my gift into action. So reach out if you want that done. If not, I'll see you here again on the next video. And I'm sending you so much love and so much heart energy for you to harness these energies of the moment and do whatever it is that your heart truly wants to do.